But this is just another video where I wanted to celebrate the amazing Bonavista Peninsula. Kind of feels like I talk about Bonavista a lot, huh? I never lived there. I don't have any family connections there. I've never had anybody in my family that has lived on the Bonavista Peninsula, let alone in the town of Bonavista. But for whatever reason, the town just draws me. Right? I talk about a few places around the province that are my favorite region or my favorite town. The Bonavista Peninsula is definitely on my short list as one of my favorite regions of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. The town of Trinity is interesting because it's one of those towns, if you check the history on old towns in Newfoundland, St. John's, Harbour Grace, Bonavista, all these towns where if you were to read up on the history, it's kind of uncanny how often Trinity loops into the histories of these other towns. Like someone who is prominent in a town like Harbour Grace or Twillingate or one of these other fishing towns will have some kind of roots in the town of Trinity. It's kind of coincidental, but it happens a lot. It's an old town. It has a history going back to the 1500s as a fishing station for the migratory fishery. And people have been living in Trinity permanently as long as they've been living basically anywhere in the province. Well, even before it was a province, going back to maybe the 1600s, but definitely the 1700s. Port Rexton, just up the road from Trinity. Actually, if you go on the coastline, it's just around the bend from the town of Trinity. It's well known today for the amazing Port Rexton Brewery and the Fisher's Loft, two businesses that set up kind of a long time ago now. They're not new businesses anymore. And I'm not sponsored by either Port Rexton Brewery or the Fisher's Loft, but I frequent them when I'm in the area. We stayed at the Fisher's Loft for a really nice vacation, and every time we pass through, we stop into Port Rexton Brewery because it's right there. Definitely, if you're traveling the Bonavista Peninsula, it's kind of like where the towns start showing up. So after driving for about an hour, say coming up from Clarenville, if that's where you're coming from, it's a nice pit stop for a stretch in any case. If you do skip Trinity, which you shouldn't, but if you do, Port Rexton is actually like right on the highway, so it may be the town that you come across first. If it is, get out and at least stop into the brewery for a quick drink if you're into that. They have some food as well. If you're looking for great accommodations, again, not sponsored, but I can't say enough good things about the Fisher's Loft in Port Rexton. I'm planning out a long video about the town of Port Union, which I'm hoping to work on over the course of the summer. It's going to be a little bit different from anything I've ever done before, but I'm going to take my time and do something that I really want to do about the town of Port Union because it's just fascinating. Stay tuned for that one, obviously. It's going to be a couple of months before that one's ready, but I'm really excited about that one. Now, I'm not going to say much about Port Union right now other than it's a fascinating town, unique, nothing like it anywhere in North America for some specific reasons. That full-length thing that I'm working on for later in the summer will come out when it does, and I'll explain much more detail about the town at that time, but just here's some pretty footage from what Port Union looks like, at least for you. Now, the town of Bonavista never disappoints. I've been there so many times over the past few years, and whether it is a beautiful blue sky day or a miserable monsoon passing through, it is so cool to experience this town. It is one of the bigger, if not the biggest, outport communities in Newfoundland, so it still feels like a fishing village in a lot of ways, but it's a sizable population, kind of a shadow of what it was before the moratorium, but the outflow of inhabitants has stopped, and it's growing again now, and the change in the business environment is very visible. Different types of businesses that were kind of surprising the first time I laid eyes on them, and a lot of them are seasonal, but they seem to be doing quite well. The population is slowly creeping back up, which is a good thing for the town, but also for the entire region. The town of Bonavista still has its challenges, but I'm here to talk about the good things. The challenges are out there. The healthcare situation isn't ideal. The banking situation, banks are closing in small towns all around Canada. That is really hard to deal with. But if we're just going to focus on the positives and showcase the positives, we don't have to pretend the troubles and the challenges don't exist. We can just put them aside for now and enjoy the beauty of this beautiful town. Lots of natural beauty all around the Bonavista Peninsula, but it seems like the closer you get to the top, to Cape Bonavista itself, it's where your breath is really going to be taken. The Dungeon Provincial Park, the Spillers Cove Sea Stack, the lighthouse at the tip of Cape Bonavista, these are all settings that will completely take your breath away. There's puffins all around that area. There's wild horses. It's a really, really interesting place for so many reasons. The wildlife and the natural coastline is a big part of why Bonavista is such a draw. But I've made videos about the town of Bonavista before. I've touched on Port Rexton. I've touched on Trinity. I've never actually been down the west side of the Bonavista Peninsula, down around Tickle Cove, Pond, of course, the famous song, Plate Cove, East Plate Cove West, Kings Cove, some of these other towns that are on my itinerary for my summer trip this year. So I don't have much to say about those places yet, other than I just haven't gotten around to visiting them, even though I really wanted to. All these other times that I traveled the Bonavista Peninsula, it will happen this year.